Roll out those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer. Those days of soda and pretzels and beer. Roll out those crazy, hazy, crazy days. Hello, Gully. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first Summer 2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go. Time to bring you another season of the summer updates. I'm so sorry about singing, everybody, but I am being a little bit exuberant as we now start the countdown to summer 2023. So there we go. Release spring forecast, of course, last week, so wait to see how that performs. But now the long range bandwagon is ruling on. We never stop here at GavsWeatherVids. So yes, summer updates will be released from now right way through to the end of May, when we will release our summer 2023 forecast, and I shall get on with the first summer update for you in a moment. I'm going to be looking at something completely different for this one, something that I've never looked at before. More about that in a second. But before I get on with that, just say that first video today was 6 a.m. upload, and we have a 10 to 14 day for you later on this afternoon. Please like, share, and subscribe on videos. Thank you so very much, everybody. But then, Matt, thank you so much to Richard. Wow, Rich. Thank you so much to Richard for our summer 2023 updates gift. I don't know. Who is that fella there? Who is that? It's certainly not me. I'd have to lose about 10 stone to get away as thin as that these days. But thank you so much, Rich. Thank you so much. And to the fella there who's doing what do they call that? Is that like starfish? That's starfish, I don't know. But thank you to the fella there doing that. And also got a little crab as well. We might name the crab in a week or two's time. But anyway, thank you so much, Rich. I love it. Very, very summery. We're all thinking of those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer on the beach, aren't we? Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. And I'm presuming as well. Very dramatic, isn't it? Very dramatic, very cinematic. Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you so much to Shryan as well. Thank you so much to Shryan Brim for sorting out the years for us on this update. Right, so we're going to crack on with it then, I think. So let's do that. So let's do how does that sound? Right, here we go then. So I tell you what, we'll go to weather is going to explain what we're going to look at. So we've had a major Sudden Stratospheric Warming. I'm so sorry to go back to it because we've been talking about it for seemingly months and months, but we have had a major Sudden Stratospheric Warming this winter. It confirms this at weatheriscool.com. The SPV, Stratospheric Polar Vortex, is currently weaker than the Era 5 average and is forecast to remain weaker than average. 0 out of 31 members of the members have stronger, 0 out of 31 members have stronger vortex than average at the last forecast step. The zonal mean solar wind at 10 hp 60 degrees north is today at minus 8.5 m. As you can see, this has been a sustained reversal solar wind. Remember, reversal solar wind is the gold standard to say that you have a major sudden stratospheric warming. So there are different types of SSW, from split to displacement events, but the gold standard to say that an SSW has taken place is to reverse the solar wind at 10 HPA 60 degrees north. You can see that since mid-February, pretty consistently, the mean solar wind has been in reverse, and even into March, the solar wind remains in reverse. You can see that from the blue line just there. So obviously a very significant development from earlier on in winter when the solar wind was significantly stronger than average up here. We're now significantly weaker than average, or in reverse, with solar winds right now happening since the middle of February. So, what we're going to do for this update is very simple, really. We're going to be looking at summers following years that have a major sudden stratospheric warming in the month of February. How does that sound? Something completely different, something that we've never looked at before to start us off. So I reckon we're going to do that for you right now. Here we go then. So our first summer following a major sudden stratospheric warming. Remember, classified by reverse zone winds at 10 HPA, 60 degrees north. Our first summer is 1966. And this is a very wet summer, unsettled summer, with below average heights, low pressure over and to the east of the country, some higher pressure out in the Atlantic, jet stream down there somewhere. So we have a cool and wet summer to start us off in 1966. England, they have been winning the World Cup for the one and only time in their history. And it was a nice day, actually, for the World Cup final in 66. But otherwise, the summer was quite bad. Many of them were in the 1960s, though. Our next summer, following a major sudden stratospheric warming in February, is the summer of 1973. This one has above average heights through the north and the west of Europe. Lower pressure is way to the northwest. This is a drier summer. I don't think it's a particularly hot summer, but it is a dry summer. I assume it's quite a pleasant summer that we have there in 1973. Our next summer is 1979. So this follows the very, very cold winter of 78-79, of course, and a really cold spring as well. The summer is a little bit mixed, but it does have its moments. It's not anywhere near as bad as the spring of 79, actually, with the Azores high just out to the west. There is low pressure to our north and east. It's not a particularly hot summer, but it does have some warmer and drier days mixing in between, unsettled spells as well. So it's a mixed summer in 1979, but it isn't as bad as you might think following on from such a cold winter and spring. Then we have the summer of 1980, again, following major sudden stratospheric warming in February. This is a cool and wet summer, particularly so, I believe, in August, which is a very cold and wet month, I think. But overall, it's a pretty bad summer that we have in 1980. It's also quite thundery, I think, in May and into June. But overall, it's an unsettled and quite cool and wet summer. Then we have 1984. Now, this is a better summer. This is the best summer so far. It is a little bit overshadowed by the summer before it, 1983, which is a classic hot summer. No, it's not as hot as that, and therefore it's a bit overshadowed and forgotten. But in its own terms, it's actually quite a good summer, with above average heights centred over and to west country. A lot of dry weather, often very warm, sometimes hot, in the summer of 1984. And this is another good one. This is 1989 as well. So, very extended summer, this one, following, again, a major sudden stratospheric warming in the month of February. This one with high pressure dominating throughout most of the summer. It starts very early. It gets going in. We have a cold April, interestingly, following on from the SSW in February. There's a cold and rather wintry April. Then in May, it's flips from like winter to summer, and we go into a very warm, dry pattern in May, and that carries on throughout the rest of the summer, then even into the autumn. So it's a very extended summer, starting in May, still going on in September. It does have a rather more unsettled August, but overall, it's a dry, hot summer there in 1989, one of the late 80s classic summers. Quite a long gap to 1999 then. So this one is a more mixed summer with some higher pressure just out to our northwest, some lower pressure to our south and southeast. So this is often very warm in 1999. Has a lot of warm weather, has a prolonged hot spell late July into August, but also a very wet August as well. It is the August, the summer and the August of the solar eclipse, of course, in 1999, where we had quite a cloudy day, unfortunately, and the eclipse was obscured in many areas. But overall, that's a pretty decent summer in 1999, particularly so in July. The peak of summer in July 1999, which is a very warm, dry summer month. 2001 is a mixed summer again. This one with below average heights to the north. So quite unsettling in 2001, but with frequent hot spells, but most of them quite short-lived and breaking down into thunderstorms. But there is some hot weather in the summer of 2001, and overall a rather warm but mixed summer, that one. Now, unfortunately, the next one is 2007, following a major SSW in February, and this one, well, I don't need to say too much about this one. Probably it has ridge in the Atlantic going up towards Greenland. It has this trough of low pressure over the northwest Europe, a jet stream down here somewhere. It's a classic washout summer that we have in 2007. Very, very wet summer, torrential flooding rains. Starts at the end of May, goes on through June and July in particular. It's an atrocious month. It gets a little bit better in August, but even then, it's not great. It's a very, very bad summer in 2007, a classic washout. And then I'm afraid we go on to another pretty poor summer, not as bad as 2007, but even so, 2008 is nothing much to write home about either. This one again with blocking within the high latitudes, low pressure across the north and west Europe. Again, the jet stream is pushed southwards, so that is a very unsettled, cool and often wet summer that we're having 2008. We do get a nice May in 2008. Summer happens in May, really, and then it's down. It's pretty much downhill all the way after that. 2010 is our next summer. So this was what we call a classic front-loaded summer. Overall, the analogue has above average heights in the Atlantic and away to our east. But the thing with this is it doesn't tell you all that much about the summer because it starts off very, very dry and really warm in June into the beginning of July of 2010. Looks like we're shaping up for a long, hot summer. And then there's a gradual deterioration as we go through July, culminating in a very cool and wet August. So we call that a front-loaded summer, where all of the warmer, drier weather is in the front part of the summer. And then the last year, where we have a major sudden stratospheric warming in the month of February, is 2018. And of course, this is a long, hot summer. Look at this. The ring of high pressure from Newfoundland across the Atlantic into the UK, into Northern Europe, back into Russia, back toward the Pacific, over towards Alaska, into the west coast of America, through Central America, back to the eastern part of America and eastern Canada as well. A ring of high pressure locking in all of the low pressure around Greenland, so that's where the unsettled and cool weather is locked in. And yes, it's a very, very hot summer, particularly again the early middle part of summer, June, July. Lots of hot, dry weather. It does deteriorate a little bit in August, so August turns a bit more unsettled, a little bit cooler as well. But when this summer is going, when it's on fire, the summer of 2018 is really, really on fire, and it's a very hot June and July, but we have there in 2018, long, hot summer. Right, okay, or at least one long, hot first part of the summer. Right, okay, let's start putting all that together then. So this is how all Junes combine are looking following summers, but it's how all Junes combine, I should say, are looking following February's that have a major SSW. Overall, an anticyclonic signal for these Junes with above average heights in from the Atlantic into northern and western Europe. Low pressure tends to get pushed to the south. Could see probably bringing a lot of easterly winds, so that's a warm wind direction in June. Could be a little bit volatile with all of that low pressure to the south. Could be a bit thundery, but overall a relatively warm signal for those Junes. July looks like that, so still relatively anticyclonic. The high pressure may be sent a little bit more to our west, which could be a slightly cooler wind direction, bringing the wind more from the Atlantic. But overall, again, still quite an anticyclonic signal that we see there for both July. Bear in mind, there are exceptions to this. So we've got 2007, which we know is a washout July, for example. Now, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but averaging it all out, probably quite anticyclonic, relatively dry, warm signal still for the Julys, and then different for August. So all August combined, following summer to have a major SSW in February. Looks like that. Much more toward lower pressure across northern and also western parts of Europe. Higher pressure is pulled out into the Atlantic, and we probably get the wind into quite a cool northwesterly direction a lot of the time. So a much more unsettled signal, I think, into the August. Overall, this is how all summers combined are looking, following a major SSW in the month of February. And you see the high pressure is not that far away from us, just out to our west. A lot of the time, low pressure is to our south and east and away to the north. So, you know, it's something that looks like it gets worse as it gets later on, but certainly the earlier part of the summer favour towards higher pressure and consequently warmer and drier weather. Now, as I explained, there are two different types of SSW that can occur. You can get a displacement event and you can get a split type SSW. So I'm going to show you the two examples. For 2008, we get a displacement of the stratospheric polar vortex. So check this out. It's the 15th of February 2018. These blue curves have a cold temperatures at 10 HPA. The warming here occurring over the Siberian side of the Arctic and the North Pole. Now, if we go on to the 20th of February, it's from Metacella, by the way, .fr, looking at the Era 5 chart. So you see a major warming is beginning to gather pace then over Siberia on the 20th of February. As we push on a few days more, let's go to 23rd, you see that major sudden stratospheric warming has occurred from Siberia. It's penetrating into the North Pole, displacing the blue colours, which is the stratospheric polar vortex at its root, displacing that out into North America and into the North Atlantic as well. So what happens as we go further on, where we get what we call a displacement event. So you see the way the brighter colours, the yellows, the greens, before that, oranges and reds have displaced the blue colours. That's what we call a displacement event. So the stratospheric polar vortex, the blue colours, displace out into North America and into the North Atlantic and into Europe there, by that warming of the stratosphere. The stratospheric polar vortex never splits during that major SSW in 2008. Now compare and contrast that to 2018. Again, you see we've got the blue colours here stretched out and elongated, so already begin to displace and stretch out by this warming but taking place here over towards Siberia, quite modest at that stage. Now, as we go on a few more days to like the 13th, then you see a split of the SPV has occurred. Notice that the two blue areas, but two lobes of blue have gone off in either direction. One has gone off towards the Pacific side of America and Canada. Another one's gone down into southern parts of Europe. In between, we've got these yellow, orange, red colours here that have split the vortex. So 2018 has a classic split of the stratospheric polar vortex, what we call a split event of the SPV. Look how this happens for the 10th through to the 11th. There we go, that's when the split actually occurs, on the 11th of February 2018. And the split just gets more dramatic on the 12th of February 2018 and continues, as we know, into like the 13th of February 2018 and goes on into Valentine's Day of 2018 as well. Actually gets stronger with that warming over Canada. Quite an unusual event this, but it is like a classic split of the SPV. Now this time we have had a displacement event. We have not had a split like we had in 2018. We had displacement. So I think it's important that we differentiate the two. So these are the years that we've just looked at, but narrowed down to only those that have a displacement event. So this is how all Junes combined are looking following a major SSW in the month of February, but just with a displacement type event. And that is just 4 years actually, 1980, 1984, 2007 and 2008. And you'll notice it is a much cooler and more unsettled signal for those Junes after a displacement event compared to the overall package. So we get a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland with a trough of low pressure across the west of Europe. That looks like a cool and wet signal for those dunes following a displacement type SSW. However, July is looking not much better, with again blocking around Greenland, Iceland, and low pressure to the north and west. This is primarily because it's including 2007 and 2008. But bear in mind, 1984 is a much better summer. We only have 4 years within this package, so it is a very, very small sample as well, remember. So it looks like split type SSWs are more common than displacement events, certainly in February. But anyway, let's carry on. So July blocking around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure across the north and the west of Europe. August, interestingly, goes a little bit more towards higher pressure, with the troughs tend to get pushed up perhaps rather more towards northern and northeastern parts of Europe. So maybe rather more anticyclonic signal for August, but which means it's dry signal, but not necessarily overly warm, as the wind will be coming more from like the northwest. And all summers combined, the 4 of them, following a major sudden stratospheric warming in month of February with a displacement type event. It's not great. It's not great, is it? With blocking around Greenland and Iceland and lower pressure across much of northern and western Europe. So clearly an unsettled, rather cool summer is favoured after displacement type SSW in February, but keep in mind there's only 4 within the sample, so it is a small, sample to go. Just for interest purposes, this is how all dunes combined are looking following displacement events. This is a bigger package, of course, more years to go. It includes 1966, 73, 79, 89, 99, 2001, 2010 and 2018, and more anticyclonic then for June. That's how all dunes combined look after a split type event. This is how all Julys combined are looking following a split type event. Again, we tend to get higher pressure across the northwest Europe, anticyclonic, and then August tends to go deteriorates a little bit and tends to get lower pressure in the August. So certainly June and July looks better when you have a split rather than displacement SSW in February. However, it swings around about because when you get to August, then actually after a split event, looks like things deteriorate more in August and get a bit better after the displacement event. But keep in mind again, this is a much bigger sample with more years to go out. Lastly, this is how all summers combined are looking following a major SSW in February with a split type event, and it is a much more anticyclonic signal with these years compared to displacement years. Now, keep in mind, everybody, that although all years will be included within the forecast, on the spreadsheet, that within the finalised data, all of those years will be added in. We will be weighting the displacement years a little bit ahead of the split type years due to the fact that this SSW that we had in this February just gone of 2023 has been a displacement event rather than a split event. So there you go, quite interesting data. And by the way, that's the first time that's happened in 2008. So it's been a long time since we've had an SSW in February that has been like a displacement event rather than a split event. Okay, right, that's it then. So quite interesting. That's interesting, wasn't it? Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed it. Something completely different. Never ever looked at that before in terms of the long range, with long range updates. We've never looked at stratospheric data like that. So please let me know in the comments what you think, everyone, and I think that's an interesting way to start. We will be doing more February data next week, and also winter to summer data as well in the next week or two, the next couple of updates. So plenty still to get our teeth into with that. But yeah, to start us off, I thought we'd do something completely different. Thank you so much to Schreien Brewing for sorting out those years for us. Thank you so much to Richard for the incredible, amazing GIF. I love it. I love this year's Summer Updates GIF, Rich. Thank you so much, my friend. That's wonderful. And you actually get to be seeing a little bit of outside of the box from Richard later on in our updates as well. So that's going to be fun. I'll get to have a day off with that, really. And I'll hand it over to Rich for an update. Anyway, that's all still to come. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this first summer update. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like if you did. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content, including future summer updates. We will be back a little bit later on with our 10 to 14 day. But for the first summer 2023 update from GavsWeatherVids, that's all for now. And thanks so much. Bye for now.